Where do we start? How about with the fact that the world is designed to orient us around work and capitalism and productivity and whatever in ways that just don't align for a whole lot of people, or at least don't seem to align very fucking well. And I'm not painting capitalism whatever as the villain. That's not the point here. The point is that all of these systems that expect us to function in particular ways are designed for a way of functioning that just doesn't resonate with a lot of people. And to fix it, we're told, just do it. Figure it out. Use the tools designed by a productivity guru for productivity people. So hello, I'm Sam. I'm a procrastinator. I'm also not a procrastinator at this point because, well, at first I didn't know, but it dominated enough of my life that I don't know if I'll ever not identify as a procrastinator. All I want to tell you right now is there's hope. And the point of this video is to show you a way of dealing with procrastination, perfectionism, motivation designed by people who struggle with those things, for people who struggle with those things, rather than by people who are productivity people. Now the juicy bit. I call this a three-part system, but really it's just what's going to happen on the journey that I've seen happen on the journey many times, and that a whole lot of other people have seen happen on the journey that's going to happen on the journey. The path, the steps you can expect to happen because it's just how it works when you're overcoming procrastination. Second part is just the engine, the process by which it happens, the steps you take that result in you moving along the journey. And part three is some other bonus things that you can do that kind of propel you as well, that give a bit of variety. Calling it a three-part system might be a bit grandiose. Or not grandiose, but just as fucking, I don't know, empirical and clinical and cold, to be honest. It's just human. Here's what the journey looks like. There are 5 stages to my knowledge, and I'm going to use an analogy that I like, but different analogies hit harder for different people, and this is your journey. I'm going to include a section at the end of this video that is coming up with an analogy for this for yourself, because it's a journey that is your own, and it's a story that is your own, and I want this to feel like whatever adventure, whatever exploration, whatever journey feels good and exciting to you. This is one that feels good to me, the way I'm going to tell this, but please apply the same principles to your own story, to your own analogy, and there will be a bit at the end to help you do so. But for now, the first layer. For me, the analogy is like Jack and the Beanstalk. You're at the bottom on Earth in this mundane world where things are normal and average and mediocre and kind of not great. You're stuck. What comes after that is hope that maybe things can be better. And from that hope, we find help that we can tolerate. We find help that we're open to hearing from. We find hope that we are curious about. We find hope that we want to listen to a little bit more. And if you're here, you're beyond, at the very least, this point, because if you're at this point in the video, you've heard enough to have clicked away if you wanted, and perhaps you'll click away in a minute, but at the very least, there's something here that has kept you here thus far, and that means that you have found help that is hopeful enough that you're willing to listen to for a little bit longer. If you get above that, beyond the bottom level, you reach the first decision. Is this something that I'm going to give attention to? Is this something that I'm going to move towards? Is this something that I want to engage with, that I think might have the thing that I need to get me where I want to go? Is this something I'm going to try? That's the first decision. Is this something I'm going to try? Am I going to walk away, or am I going to give it a go? Is there enough here for me to give it a go? And if so, you start with blind action. You start just listening to it. I'm hopeful enough that I just want to try something. So you start listening to it. You start trying to apply things, but you're at the very beginning and no roots have sunk in. You hit the first ceiling. I've called it the first ceiling to be generic. In my narrative, my analogy, it's the first gust. Climbing the beanstalk, climbing the whatever up in towards the clouds, and the first big gust comes to want to blow me off, or at least scare me enough to deter me, to get me to climb back down. That's the first challenge. Am I going to stick with this? Yeah, there's something here, but am I going to just get distracted by the things that are around me? Am I going to get distracted by the things that I have to do, the urgent things, the things that I need to sort out in my life? Am I going to get distracted and ignore this and toss it away before it has any chance for roots to sink in, before there's a chance for me to really commit to the journey? When my foot's still half out the door, am I going to get past that first gust and stay anyway? Am I going to get past that first ceiling? And one of the things I want you to think about in this whole journey, if you're this far, these are steps you're going to have to get through no matter what path you take. It doesn't have to be this path. If this path looks hopeful to you, please stay. If you're keen in some way, please stay. If everything in your life is chaos and you don't know if you can focus your attention on another thing, bookmark this and come back. That's still making the first decision. When you do come back, that's making the first decision. And this may not work well if there's so much panic in the rest of your life that you can't give attention to slowing down enough to really change things. But that's okay. There will come a moment where you have a breather and you want to make change. Come back. Come back then. But the question is whether you will stay beyond that first gust in whatever path you take, whatever journey you make, whether it's this or something else, whatever you try, will you stay long enough? Will you not catastrophize? Will you resist the impulse to climb up and up and up and crash back down, which is something I'll talk about in another video. But right now, I just want to give you the basics. The first ceiling. Will you make it past that first gust of wind? If you do, you're onto the third level up. The second decision, will you make the decision to keep climbing? If you are beyond the first gust, that is the second decision. I'm going to keep climbing. I'm going to commit. I want to stick around. I've separated the first ceiling and the second decision because it's the question of when that happens, whether you make that decision, whether you choose to pull your foot out of the door, whether you choose actively, I'm going to stick around for longer. The second decision hasn't happened yet unless you've chosen to keep going. The second decision hasn't happened yet unless you've chosen to keep going. You've decided, yeah, I'm sticky around. I'm sticky around. This is cool. I'm sticky around. I know it's hard. I know this. I know I could get distracted. I'm going to stick with it because there's something here. There's something hopeful and there's something exciting. There's a reason for me to want to be here to figure this out. And if you get past there, you begin to learn the first lessons, the step up from blind action. Beginning to learn the first lessons, you're diving deeper, you're getting your teeth into things. If you're watching this, you're likely in one of the two rows here. First decision, blind action, first ceiling. Second decision, beginning to learn first lessons, and second ceiling. You're somewhere around here. Maybe this is your version of blind action. You're hey, okay, I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to have a look into it. I'm going to watch the video, see what's up. You start watching the video. Am I going to commit to this? Am I going to this feel like, oh, does it matter? Oh, I'll come back to it tomorrow. I'll come back to it tomorrow. I'll come back to it tomorrow. Just let it fade out of your head. It's normal. I've done it 1,000 times, but I want to put this in front of you so you can make an active decision. So just the vague thing doesn't happen. If you want to change things, we change things. The second decision, beginning to learn the first lessons, that's what we're here for. And maybe this video is your version of that. Maybe you've already made that decision and you're doubling down and digging deeper, and this is what you need to do that. And then you hit the second ceiling. Maybe you have already, maybe this is where you're up to, maybe you're not quite. But at some point, no matter what, you will or will have hit the second ceiling, the second big gust. And that's, I've stuck with it a bit. I've learned I actually get it. This isn't just a thing I looked at for a moment, and it's not just something I popped my head into a couple of times. It's something that I've given properly some attention to. Beginning to learn, first lessons. I've given some attention. I kind of get it. I get what's going on, but it's hard. I've hit a wall. I don't know if it's working. I don't know if I'm just bad at it. I don't know if it works for me. I don't know if it can work for me. I don't know if I'm useless. Looping and looping and looping in our heads. That's the second gust. Can I do this? Does this work? Am I capable of it? Is it too hard? Is it too overwhelming? Can I navigate all of the things in my life? I'll just set it aside. That's the less important thing. It's not the less important thing. It's the most important thing to navigate these things in some way, and you have to do it at some point. And so if you've gotten this far, keep going because you are capable of this. You are going to create your own way. You will see you are going to create your own way rather than having to listen to some guru, and I am not the guru. You have the way within you, and I'm just going to give you the tools to build it for yourself and a support system to hold you when you get hit by these gusts. The second ceiling, leading to stage 3. If you weather the second gust, if you hold on to the beanstalk, you will arrive at the commitment. That is the decision that when I get hit with these kinds of gusts, these moments of, I don't know if I can do this, I'm going to stay. I could have given up then and I didn't. And I don't want to because I see something in this and I've seen it working and I want it to keep working and I don't want to give up on that. I don't want to throw this on the floor. I don't want to discard it. I'm committing to this. I'm going to make it work. It's a decision to stay. Up to this point, you've wanted it to work. You've been keen. You've been trying it, but you're still not sure. In the beginning, a foot was out the door. You pulled that foot in and gave it proper attention, but you can still get distracted. This is the choosing to, even when you want to be distracted, I'm going to stay. I'm going to figure this out. And through that, through that moment of, can I do this? I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. And then choosing to commit in that moment, choosing to stay anyway, out of just that decision, just that commitment internally, that shift within yourself, competency, confidence, and excitement will emerge. Yeah, you'll keep practicing these things. Yeah, you'll learn more deeply. But this is what happens: competency, confidence, and excitement. Because you can see, I can do it, I can stay, I can make it work. I've seen it working. I'm going to stick around to let the fruits grow, to become more skilled, to learn how to do this better. And trust me, it's a skill. We're going to get to that. It's a skill that you can learn, that if you're a creative person, which most people who struggle with procrastination are, or at least a problem solver, you will already have a head start with. Competency, confidence, and excitement. You will have seen it working, and then you chose to stay in the moment when in the past you have always given up because it got too hard, it got too overwhelming. That point at the top where you couldn't sustain it anymore, and so you threw in the towel to escape to the comfortable, dark little hole because this way was too hard. Instead, you chose to stay. You chose to do something differently to what you have done before, and from that, confidence, self-esteem, competence, excitement will start to emerge. Immediately it will be there and it will grow. And through that, you will reach the third ceiling and the third gust. And if you pass that third gust, when these moments, these smaller versions, perhaps the second you weather the second gust, you get past the second ceiling, and then equivalent gusts don't hit you as hard. They're not as overwhelming. You know you can hold on through them. So you pass up through the commitment, competency, confidence, excitement, start to grow. And then this massive gust comes. Even after you've committed, even after you've made this progress, and you will have experienced a lot of joy and a lot of curiosity and competence and confidence and excitement in that period. But still, that will build to a moment where you're like, oh, fuck, did I miss the memo? Did I misunderstand how all of this works? Am I useless after all? Have I fucked it up? You will hit the third ceiling, and once again, you will be tempted to climb back down the beanstalk, or sometimes just throw yourself off, fall into the abyss, back down into the comfortable hopelessness, the stuckness, down into the mud below. You will want to. We all want to. If you move past the third ceiling, identity change. It's like a more intense version of this, right? The commitment led to competency, confidence, and excitement. The third ceiling, with identity change, I am the person who climbs the beanstalk. Not can I do this, not do I know, not can I learn how. I'm the person who chooses to climb the beanstalk, chooses to navigate the dungeon, chooses to climb the mountain, to weather the storm, whatever your analogy, whatever your journey is. I'm the person who chooses. It's not a matter of whether I can. I do. Because I want to be here and it works and I like it better and I want to be here. And this is what you're going to navigate no matter which path you take through all of these things. This one or a different one, you will have to get to that point of identity change. You will have to get past the third ceiling. And so if you're already on this journey, stay. And if you're curious about this journey, start it. Identity change. I'm the kind of person, and no one can ever take that away from you. Nothing can ever take that away from you. There are other things that you are expected to do in your life that when you don't do, you feel shit because you think it's just the baseline. When you break a pattern that you have always fallen into, that's not the baseline. That's extraordinary. That's the hardest thing. And you have become someone different as a result, and you will always be that person, and you will never be able to fall back into the same place. And from that, staying becomes easy because you know who you are, and you know you want to stay, and you know you can, and you know how. You've proved that you can, and so you will stay. Because it just becomes a choice rather than this daunting overwhelm, can I or can I not? You can, and you will prove it to yourself. And then you will stay easily and you will stay on the journey. And from there, you will become consistently excited about tomorrow. You will become consistently excited about tomorrow, about your day, about what is coming next, about what you're waking up to, about the projects you're working on, about on the progress that you're making in your life, on the ways that you're contributing to the people in your life, whether it's a big project that you're giving attention to or whether it's just the little daily joys. You will be able to just consistently be excited about tomorrow. Yeah, there's still going to be problems in life. There are always problems in life, but it's how we navigate them, and all of it will become lighter and all of it will become easier, and you will be consistently excited about tomorrow. and that will grow, and that will grow. And that's as far as I can tell you from my own experience. There are others who will say further, and I do not feel that is my place to say because it's not where I am. I don't know what's next. I'm excited to find out what's next. I'm really happy being here. It's really fucking cool. Yeah, there are still challenges. Of course, there are still challenges. But it's cool and it's exciting, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. And if you want to figure that out with me, I hope you'll stay on this journey so that I can do that part with you and figure out that part with you. And maybe by the time you get here, I'll have gotten a little bit farther and you'll already have the next step and you'll be able to catch up and help me with the next one. So that's the journey you can expect to move through. And I suspect it was not surprising at all because it's just how we work. You've seen that happen in your life before in those kinds of ways. You've seen the up and down, all or nothing thing happening, playing out. You've seen yourself get blocked by obstacles along the way. You've seen yourself get deeper and then still catastrophize and throw in the towel. You've seen it all play out. You know what's going to happen. You know this is true. You've seen it happen. This time we're just acknowledging what's going to happen and planning for it and playing with it. You've seen it happen. I don't need to keep repeating this. You know how it works. It's going to play out in that way so we can expect it to play out in that way. And when we expect it to play out in that way and want to get to the places that previously have sucked, then suddenly they don't really suck anymore. So yeah, it's not really a system, is it? It's kind of just how shit works. So hopefully that's a bit of hope for you that it's not whether you do this right or not. It's just whether you be human. And that you are good at. Part 2 of the system, the engine of fives. This is literally 4 steps, and it looks like more, but I'll explain that. 4 steps to get you along the journey. If you take these 4 steps, you will progress along the journey, and you will overcome procrastination. These are the 4 steps. We're going to start at the top. Hypothesize a pain. If you don't know what I'm talking about with pain, there will be a link on screen or in the description that takes you to a video that talks through some fundamentals that will make all of this make more sense. But the basic idea is that we procrastinate because there's a pain attached to a task. So if we remove that pain, we minimize that pain, then we will stop procrastinating. And the starting place for that is hypothesizing a pain. Whenever I've ever asked anyone who struggles with procrastination what the pain that they're experiencing in relation to a task is, they're able to give some insightful shit. They're able to offer useful insights about what that pain is. Hey, I think this is the pain that is causing me to procrastinate. And it's always interesting and it's always impactful. There's always something. Sometimes people have a little bit of trouble pulling it out, but they always have something to share that offers meaningful insights. And if you hypothesize a pain, and this is how the whole process is going to work, if you hypothesize a pain 5 times, 95% of the time, you will gain an insight about how to reduce that pain. 95% of the time, if you hypothesize a pain, you just think of, I think it might be this 5 times. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with these things, if you want more clarity with these things, I'm going to create separate videos for each of these things. If that's already happened, there will be links in the description. If not, they'll be here soon, elaborating on each of these stages to make it really easy so you don't need to think about it. But if you hypothesize a pain, this is the basics. 5 times, you'll gain an insight about how to reduce the pain. If you gain 5 insights about how you might be able to reduce the pain that is attached to that task, you will have ideas for how you could experiment to reduce the pain. For starters, we're not going to know how to reduce the pain. We need to learn how to reduce the pain. And by learning how, we're going to be able to make it a bit less painful tomorrow. So we need ideas for things that we could try to figure out how to reduce our own pain. We're not listening to the gurus here. We're not listening to the productivity people who have designed systems for other productivity people. We are creating systems for you. You are creating systems for you. I'm not creating systems for you either. I'm depending on the fact that you are a capable problem solver. You're a capable person who knows yourself better than anyone else and who will be able to create the best ways for you. You have a community of people that I'll talk about later that you can lean on to back you up, to help you with it, but you will come up with the best ideas for yourself. So if you gain 5 insights about how to reduce the pain, 95% of the time you will have ideas for how you could experiment to reduce that pain. If you have 5 ideas for how you could experiment with that pain 95% of the time, you will have an experiment that you want to try, an entry point, a place that you want to learn something from, something you want to try, you want to test in order to figure out whether it reduces the pain. If you have 5 ideas for experiments, you will have at least one experiment that you want to try for how to reduce the pain 95% of the time. And if not, come up with a couple more ideas and you will find something that you want to try. From here, it gets exciting because those are the 4 steps. Those are the 4 practical steps. There are no other steps, but there are places along the journey that we get to enjoy as we progress through these steps. But first, I want to say these 5 steps will get faster and faster. Instead of hypothesizing a pain, you will just identify pain. As you get good at hypothesizing pain, you will just be able to identify it. It won't take 5 times. You will just identify the pain. Hey, I know the pains. I know the pains that come up for me. This is the pain that's coming up for me. Instead of having to find an insight about how to reduce the pain, you will just identify a pattern of insights that you've seen before, that's played out, that you've gotten an understanding of because you've navigated these things already, because you've gone through the 5 by 5 by 5 by 5 process. And so you kind of know what's going on. And so it just starts being instantaneous. You identify the pain, you identify the insight pattern, just like that. And then ideation, on the fly adaptation of existing strategies. You will have tried different things at this point. You will have tried a bunch of different things. You will have come up with a bunch of different ideas, and that will be source material for you to draw on. You won't be pulling shit out of nowhere. You'll have all of these reference points to try and experiment with. So basically instantaneously as well, you'll just be quickly adapting reference material that you can already draw on, and experimenting on how to reduce the pain will just become instant iteration. Rather than having to sift through ideas to come up with the one that, yeah, I think this is good enough, this is the thing I want to try, you'll just quickly be able to dive into new iterations, new experiments, because you've become so familiar with the process. You know how to do it. You'll know how to apply these things because you've been practicing it a bunch. You've seen how it plays out. You'll know how it plays out. You don't need to worry about the maths here because it's going to get faster and faster and faster to the point where this happens in like 2 minutes or 5 minutes. Or you might give it a few more minutes because you're like, oh, this is a thing that's a bit more fixed, a bit more stuck that I want to experiment with, that I want to investigate. So I'm going to think about it a bit more. But if you do, then that's your choice. You will be able to move through this so quickly, which will take you here. And you'll get to these places before even likely you've gotten as instantaneous as that, but you'll be getting faster along the way. And if you conduct 5 experiments for how to reduce the pain, you will learn how to reduce the pain somewhat, for sure. And if not, like maybe 1 or 2 more experiments, but 95% of the time, 5 experiments, you will have learned how to reduce that pain somewhat. If you learn how to reduce that pain somewhat 5 times, you will learn to reduce that pain to tolerability and relief. To a point where it's like, I kind of just get this. I know how this works. I know how to navigate this. We don't want to just solve this shit. We don't want to just jump to a solution because that's not how this shit works. It's a process of learning. Like you learn an instrument. You don't just suddenly know how to play the complicated pieces. We learn how, and then we can play any complicated piece rather than just that single one that we sort of forced ourselves to memorize and risk forgetting all the time. This way, you've learned it, it's integrated, you understand how it works. You can probably help other people navigate this journey as well, like people in the community who are just starting it. If you learn how to reduce the pain somewhat, you'll learn how to reduce that pain to tolerability, to relief. And at that point, it's just not debilitating anymore. Instead of debilitating procrastination, we're just talking about it's fine. Like it's maybe not great, it's not ideal, but it's fine. It's not super painful anymore. And that's a big deal. That means life is much easier in a massive area. If you learn how to reduce the pain to tolerability relief 5 times, you will learn to reduce that pain significantly. You will learn how to reduce the pain significantly. And at that point, rather than it being any kind of pain, any kind of resistance, we're getting to the point where it's just like, oh, whatever, yeah, I'll do that. It's a totally different relationship with things. And you are identifying in large parts as a different person, and you will be progressing in really significant ways through that journey that we spoke about earlier. If you learn to reduce that pain significantly 5 times, you will build self-confidence in your capacity to navigate that pain. You will have self-confidence in your capacity to navigate that pain, and once again, that will carry over to other areas. And this is really, this whole thing I want to say is basically the worst case scenario. The 5 by 5 by 5 by 5, that's basically the worst case scenario. It's not going to be harder than this. The worst case scenario is getting exponentially faster along the way. You learn to reduce that pain significantly 5 times. You'll build self-confidence in your capacity to navigate this pain, probably other pains. You do that 5 times, you will have overcome procrastination. You build your self-confidence to that degree in your capacity to navigate that pain, or really just pain in general in relation to tasks, you will have overcome procrastination. You will have overcome procrastination. You will have proven so thoroughly that you can navigate the pains that come up that cause procrastination, that cause you to want to numb. You will have navigated those things so comprehensively, you just won't procrastinate anymore. And if it ever does come, if the impulse ever does come up, you'll have a way of dealing with it immediately because you learned how to reduce that pain significantly. You learned how to reduce pain significantly. You built your self-confidence in your capacity to navigate pain altogether. And so procrastination, the strategy of numbing in order to feel okay about a painful situation, will dissolve. And that's the engine of 5s. These are just the steps that you take in order to navigate this. If you follow those steps, you will progress through this. It's literally the steps. It's literally the steps you take, the practical things you do. 4 steps. Those 4 steps. Those are the little practical things that you do in order to move along. this journey, in order to hit the ceilings. We want to hit the ceilings because then you break through them and you progress further in your life. You become more interesting, you become more excited, you become more hopeful, you become more energized. You bring more of your capacity, your you-ness into the world. You energize the people around you. You bring more to the lives of the people around you. You pursue more of the things that you care about. You progress through this journey that everyone needs to progress through if they want their life to be more exciting, more engaging, more them. These are the steps. Those are the 4 steps, the engine of 5, the 4 steps that will take you through processes of learning, that take you through this journey that ultimately every human ever has to go through. And here's a way for you to do it and overcome procrastination at the same time. You know what obstacles you're going to hit. They're not surprises. And when you hit them, you get to choose, am I going to stay? Am I going to figure this out with the support of a bunch of people who are keen in navigating the same journey, and many of whom have gotten past the ceiling that I have, or are behind me waiting to see that I do, to see that they can as well? If you want to navigate this journey, join us to navigate this journey here. Navigate procrastination, push through these stages, take the steps using the engine of 5s. Part 3 of the system, some side quests that you can add into the mix that'll compel you down the journey further and faster, giving a bit of variety along the way, making it more interesting, but really just feed into the core of what you've already seen, the formula that is laid out for you that is going to get you beyond procrastination and perfectionism. Guaranteed. And can I just say, the point of sharing all of this isn't right now for you to know how it all works perfectly, to have it perfectly clear in your brain exactly all the steps. That's to come. I'm going to give you all that shit. The point right now is to give you hope, to show you that there is a way forwards that is different, that is better. I just want you to see it laid out so you can see, oh, there's validity here. And I can see that there's validity because I can see the pieces of truth here. Hey. She gets it. If this resonates with you, if there's hope in this, if there's a spark of something, if you can see a bit of truth that is hopeful, that makes you want to try something, that makes you believe that there might be a path forwards, that's what I want for you out of this video. Because there is hope, because you can do it, you're not broken. The system is geared against you, and this is a way of fighting that. Of being you and being human in a way that works within a system that doesn't really give a fuck. Bonus steps, extras, call them what you will. These are additional steps that you can take that will progress you along the journey even more quickly. These are the steps you can take from least impactful to most impactful, but all impactful, all valuable things, or I wouldn't have put them here, all valuable things, but to varying degrees of impact that will kind of take the place of some of those steps. These will help you gain insights, understanding, deepen the process in meaningful ways so that everything tumbles even faster, so that everything multiplies, becomes exponential even faster. So first of all, watch a video. This is the first of the videos that I'm going to be making on this topic, but I'm going to be elaborating with little videos, primarily short videos that dive deeper into each of these topics. And a large part why I'm making them shorter videos is so that I can go and adjust them over time to keep making them more and more helpful without having to redo a whole system. So you can just watch a video and gain a valuable insight and then follow that video to the next one in whatever way that you find interesting. Watch one of the videos talking about the shit that we talk about here. Make a post in the community. The first community is to get you the first part along the journey, and if you want to dive deeper into the journey from there, you can join the second community. Make a post in the community, sharing where you're up to, sharing what's working for you, sharing where you're stuck. Come to a session. There are sessions in both communities of different kinds, simpler ones in the first community and more in-depth ones in the second community. Come to a session, be around other people navigating the same journey, be around questions, be around me, and an energy of growth and change in a deeper way. Make it more real and visceral by connecting. Write about your annoyance with a bad strategy, like a journal entry or just a note on your phone. Write about how the way you've been doing things is bullshit, and this will tie into another video as well, what I think is a pretty interesting topic, but write about your annoyance with a bad strategy, with a strategy that just doesn't fucking work. If you deepen your frustration with a pattern of procrastination that hasn't been working, and you start through the engine of 5s, through the 4 steps there, to find ways that work well, then you're naturally going to let go of the way that sucks, that you don't like, and you're going to lean into the way that does work. And by writing about your annoyance with a bad strategy, you'll clarify it more so, you'll deepen that frustration, and you'll be more inclined to take the more interesting route. There's a lot more to talk about there, but that's the basics. Act on a kick of motivation, excitement. Follow the impulse rather than listening to the, oh, but I don't do this right now, or, oh, but I'm in the middle of watching something. I have a kick of motivation, I'm going to go do it. Act act on the kick of motivation. Listen to the pull, the thing that's interesting or exciting to you in some way. Listen to it. Listening to that is so impactful. By doing something you literally want to do, you will progress through this journey more quickly in a really interesting way. And the most impactful additional thing is wanting to jump off but holding on. That's kind of that idea of breaking through the ceiling, of getting to the next step. But there will be little versions of this where you're like, oh, fuck this. In that moment, choosing to stay. In that moment, choosing to make a post. In that moment, choosing to do any of these things here. In that moment, choosing to do one of the 4 steps. In that moment, please, I would by far and away rather you message me saying, Sam, I want to jump off, rather than actually jumping off. Wanting to jump off, but holding on anyway, that is the biggest, most impactful additional thing that you can do. The biggest, most impactful thing that you could do to progress your journey faster. But if you choose in any moment to do any of these things, you will progress. You will progress more quickly as a result of these additional pieces. They're not the core, they're not the center. The core is still the 4 steps, and those 4 steps are essential, becoming skilled at those things. But these are additional things that are really impactful if you pull them into your journey, particularly if you join the community. So if this has a bit of hope for you in it, stay a little bit longer, please. Stick around, join the journey, get past the obstacles for you. Because when you become more the person that you are, that is within you, following the spark, it feeds into everyone else in your life. It serves all of them. And it makes everything work better in the world, in your life, in the lives of everyone else. That's what this is for. It's not just to get you beyond procrastination, perfectionism, motivation, whatever. That's chump change. That's small fry. That's the little pieces. Be excited about waking up in the morning, about what is in your day, about what you're figuring out, about the journeys that you're on, about the people that you're seeing and the life that you're living. That's what we want. And we need you to get past these initial obstacles so that that can start to happen. Stick around. Stick around. Please. It's so much better when there's more of us here doing this shit together in a way that works. Last of all, I said I'd help you make your own analogy. So if you want a fun first step, 3 simple things: the journey, the engine, the bonus steps. For me, climbing the beanstalk up to the foundry in the cloud, the handholds of climbing up, and gusts pushing me upwards. For you, you can pick anything. You saw some examples throughout, but for the journey, ultimately, you just need the form of 3 big obstacles. Is it a mountain? Is it a level of the dungeon? Second, you need the pieces that it breaks down into: steps with your feet, climbing, battles in the dungeon, whatever suits. And third, all you need is something that propels you forward. One of the bullet things from Mario, or a mushroom, the gust, magical tool, implement, and that's it. I could keep going, but you don't need me to. You've got everything you need to make a decision, and I hope to see you around soon.